This crazy woman couldn't be dealt with using common sense. If they pushed too hard, it would only land them in trouble. Outrageous. Julie glared at her and yelled cowardly, "You crazy witch! Do you know who you're talking to? This is my cousin. She is also Sir Mosey's goddaughter. Threatening her is akin to suicide. Is that so?" Abigail grinned and flicked her wrist, sending a black pill straight into Julie's throat. Julie subconsciously swallowed. After she realized what had happened, she immediately pushed a finger down her throat in an attempt to vomit the pill out. However, no matter how hard she heaved, it was useless. The moment the pill went into her mouth, it had already dissolved. At that moment, her expression shifted and her voice trembled. What did you just give me?" "Nothing, just some supplements," Abigail replied with a smile. "You're lying. It's obviously poison." Julie panicked. "Oh hey, it seems like you've guessed it. Sorry." Abigail's smile never faltered. "You witch. Give me the antidote." Julie roared. "I'd advise you to calm down since getting agitated would only speed up your death. Oh, by the way, this poison won't take effect immediately. It will slowly torment you until your intestines rot and you perish," Abigail explained. What? Julie's legs went numb. "Dahlia, save me. You witch. How dare you harm a Mosey? You must have a death wish." Scott's expression darkened, and he reached out to grab Abigail by the throat. Almost all of the Moseys practiced martial arts, and among Seamus's godsons and goddaughters, Scott's martial arts cultivation was considered top-notch. Instead of avoiding him, Abigail opened up her palms and blew lightly. A faint white mist billowed out, enveloping Scott. "Be careful. That's poison," Julie warned, but it was too late. Scott's attack was too fast, so he could not dodge. He could only defend against it with his energy armor. Unexpectedly, the white mist penetrated his true energy and wafted into his mouth and nose. Scott let out a miserable scream and immediately fell to the ground. His body convulsed as blood spewed from his mouth. His face contorted in unbearable pain. "Why are you so irritable? Can't we discuss things calmly?" Abigail said. "You witch. How dare you poison Sir Mosey's godson? You're digging your own grave." Julie was shocked and furious. "Don't worry. Even if I die, I'll make sure to take all of you with me," Abigail said with a smile. "You." Julie was frightened and remained silent. Seeing Scott in pain and bleeding from his mouth, Dahlia frowned. She suppressed her anger and demanded coldly, "I don't care who you are. Hand over the antidote, and I'll overlook what happened earlier." I'm afraid it's not up to you." Abigail shook her head slightly. "Dustin, it's still not too late for you to turn back before things escalate further. If something happens to Scott, even I won't be able to save you," Dahlia warned. "You don't need to worry about me. Just take good care of yourself, Ms. Nicholson," Dustin said indifferently. "Dustin, you know you aren't a match for the Moseys. So why are you so stubborn?" Dahlia frowned. "Is your dignity really more important than your life? It's time to face reality. You can't afford to offend these people. And there are things you should never do. Once you cross the line, only a dead end awaits you. Wake up." She didn't understand why he wouldn't appreciate her well-intentioned advice. Was it really that difficult to apologize? Looking at Dahlia's familiar face from the past, Dustin took a deep breath and said coldly, "Dahlia Nicholson, I'm not being stubborn. You're the one who thinks you can never be wrong. What makes you think everything is my fault? And why do you assume I can't afford to offend these people?" Dahlia responded with a frown. "Things have already come to this, and you're still trying to argue. I've already investigated the matter, and it's clearly your fault. Don't think you can act arrogantly in Oakvale just because you have someone backing you. This place is full of hidden talents and influential people. It's not a place where you can run wild. Forget it. I'm too lazy to continue this argument. Think whatever you want." Dustin shook his head, feeling tired. There was nothing left for him to complain about when she was exactly the same as she was before she lost her memory. Dustin, what's with your attitude? I'm giving you sound advice, but you just won't listen. Will you only regret it when you land yourself in real trouble? Dahlia lectured. She had been extremely merciful, giving him various opportunities in hopes that he would come to his senses. Unfortunately, the results were the same. Abigail neutralized the poison and let them leave. Don't let them interfere with our business, Dustin said impatiently, unwilling to be involved with them any longer. He felt frustrated every time he encountered Dahlia. It seemed like the two of them were just not meant to be. All right, I played enough anyway. I'll let you off today. Abigail smiled and waved her hand gently. A mist entered Scott's nostrils. The pain-stricken Scott quickly found relief, but he looked extremely disheveled. His hair was a mess, he was drenched in sweat, and his face was covered in blood. He had lost his previous dignified demeanor. God damn it! How dare you poison me? You, Scott was enraged. He was about to hurl insults and threats at them when Dahlia raised a hand to stop him. All right, that's enough. Don't escalate the situation lest you get poisoned again. Scott gritted his teeth, managing to suppress his anger in the end. Even though he was a martial artist, he was wary of poison experts, since he was defenseless against Abigail's poison. Threatening them would serve no purpose and potentially drive them to more desperate measures instead. However, he would not forgive this incident easily. What about me? Where's my antidote? Julie pointed at herself, asking repeatedly. No need to be anxious. You won't die for now. To prevent you from retaliating, I'll have someone send over the antidote in 3 days, Abigail said. What? I need to wait 3 days. What if I can't hold on for that long? Julie panicked. Then, that's too bad, Abigail replied seriously. You! Julie was exasperated, but was afraid of angering Abigail. She could only turn to Dahlia and plead, Dahlia, what should we do? They haven't given me the antidote. I trust they won't try anything foolish. We'll just wait 3 days, Dahlia said impassively. What? Julie's expression stiffened, and she almost cried. The thought of the deadly poison lurking in her body, ready to take her life at any moment, made her legs weak. There were still 3 days left. It was pure torture. Dustin, I won't hold today's events against you, but I hope you won't land yourself in trouble again. Dahlia spat out before turning around to leave. This isn't over. Let's see what happens moving forward. Scott glanced resentfully at Dustin and Abigail before leaving with his entourage. Hey, handsome. It seems like we've landed ourselves in big trouble. Lana looked worried as she watched them depart. Dealing with the Forrest and Welch families might be manageable with Mr. Dawson backing us up, but the Moseys are a different story. Both Dahlia and Scott are not individuals we can afford to offend. She wasn't too concerned about Dahlia since she had a good reputation and usually lived up to her promises. She probably wouldn't hold this matter against them. However, Scott was different. He had a notorious reputation in the business world, known for his vengeful nature and relentless pursuit of his goals. Offending a powerful man like him would undoubtedly bring them trouble. There's no need to worry, Ms. Cameron. We're responsible for this mess. It'll likely be directed at us if they come looking for trouble. The company won't be affected, Dustin said. Handsome, I'm not worried about implicating the company. I meant that you should stay out of the limelight to avoid retaliation, Lana advised. How long would I need to avoid them? It wouldn't solve anything in the long run. Besides, I'm not afraid of them retaliating. Dustin continued indifferently. If they choose to let it go, then this matter would be put to rest. But if they insist on fighting till the end, I'll make them regret it. That's right. Abigail grinned. She continued excitedly. If they try anything reckless, I'll poison them all to death. I see. Lana paled. She was at a loss for words. Common sense seemed to be a foreign concept to this crazy girl. Was she going to poison members of the Mosey family? If she unleashed her full madness, nothing could stop her. Abigail, be careful when using your poison in the future. Right then, Destin said seriously, I won't interfere with your decisions, but I hope you won't lose yourself. As his only student, he didn't wish for her to turn into a murderous maniac. Okay, I got it. Abigail hooked her arm around Destin's and said cheekily, I'll be careful in the future. I won't randomly kill innocent people. I promise. As long as you understand, Destin replied with a faint smile. He then turned his attention to Lena. Miss Cameron, this is my student. She's here to place orders for DuBomb. Can you give her a discount? What do you mean? We're practically family now. There's no need for a discount. Just take it for free, Lena offered generously. Haha, thank you, beautiful lady. Abigail cheered, her face lighting up. Favors are favors, and business is business. You can't just give it away for free. Let's at least charge her the production costs, Destin said seriously. Abigail pouted immediately. She said pitifully, Destin, I'm very poor. My family is in dire straits. Can't you do me a favor? I'm begging you. You little money enthusiast. Even if you're poor, do you lack these meager stuff? Destin was exasperated. Of course, I lack them. Do you know how expensive it is to produce poison? I only have a few pennies left on me, Abigail said with a weak, pitiful look. All right. I already said it's for free. In the worst case, I'll cover the expenses myself. Lena supported her strongly. Beautiful lady, you're the best. Upon hearing her, Abigail brightened and hugged Lena's arm. She made a face at Destin. Destin, I'm underage. How can you haggle with a minor? You're such a stingy man. That's right. Very stingy indeed. Lena joined in, trying hard to suppress her laughter. Destin appeared helpless as he listened to their banter. He was just about to say something when his phone rang. Destin answered the call. It was from Ethan. Your Grace, I'm at the entrance of Cameron Medicals. I have something important to report. Can we meet in person? Ethan got straight to the point. All right, I'll be right out. Destin nodded and hung up without saying much. Ms. Cameron, please take Abigail around for a stroll. I have something urgent to attend to, Destin said before walking out of the office. He had only assigned Ethan two tasks. One was to find the medicinal herbs for treating Cinna, and the other was to investigate the truth from 10 years ago. Both matters were crucial to him. When Destin stepped out of the building, he saw a plain black sedan parked across the street. The car window rolled down, revealing half of Ethan's face as he waved to Destin. Destin looked around and ensured no one noticed before entering the car. The car windows rolled up, and the car started. They began moving at a steady pace. Mr. Ethan, what's the urgent matter that made you call for a meeting? Destin spoke first. Your Grace, I've already asked around for the whereabouts of the Ice Heart Lotus and the Emerald Corolla. However, acquiring them poses a bit of a challenge. Ethan didn't beat around the bush. Oh, Destin raised an eyebrow, looking intrigued. With your connections, is it that hard to obtain to precious herbs? If it were in the hands of ordinary dignitaries, I'd gladly present them to you without you needing to worry. Sadly, those two herbs are not someplace I can easily step into, Ethan said solemnly. Where exactly are they that even you are so cautious? Destin grew more intrigued. Well, the Emerald Corolla you seek is currently in the Mosey's mansion. It's Anders Mosey's personal item that he carries with him constantly. Since this treasure can enhance cultivation speed, Anders guards it closely and doesn't allow anyone to touch it, Ethan explained. Anders Mosey. Why does that name sound so familiar? Destin squinted, deep in thought. Anders is the Mosey family's prodigy and one of Oakvale's four princes. He is on par with Adam Spanner. Extraordinarily talented and highly skilled. His military achievements reach far and wide. He is currently revered as the Veros warrior by the people of Dragonmarsh. Ethan explained with a serious expression. Dragonmarsh had 5 gods of war, each of them guarding a territory. Among them, the goddess of war, Scarlet Spanner, was the most famous, demonstrating prowess no less than her male peers. Meanwhile, the Veros warrior, Anders Mosey, was hailed as the strongest. He was already a seasoned veteran of the battlefield in his early 30s, having spent over a decade in continuous wars. He was undefeated in countless battles, both large and small. He had taken down tens of thousands of enemies, being the true adversary on the battlefield. His achievements and records made him unmatched among the younger generation. Only the Spanner twins could barely top him. The Mosey family's prodigy, one of Oakvale's four princes. After a few seconds of thinking deeply, Dustin suddenly remembered. Oh, I remember now. Isn't he that guy who publicly challenged me all those years ago, only for me to end up defeating him in 3 moves? The corner of Ethan's mouth twitched. For a moment, he was at a loss for words. Unintentional bragging was the scariest. He almost overlooked the fact that the man before him was the Kieran who dominated all the young talents in Oakvale. He was an existence above all. Your Grace, times have changed. The Anders of today is no longer the naive youth of 10 years ago. Ethan regained his composure and earnestly warned. After a decade of honing his skills on the battlefield, Anders has become an unparalleled sword. His strength is indiscernible, and he's nearly invincible in one-on-one combat. Ethan had sent his message across tactfully. Although Dustin was the Kieran, that was just his past glory. 10 years had passed, and many things had changed. Even if Dustin was exceptionally talented, his growth was inevitably limited without the resources from the Reese family. Anders and the rest of them, however, were different. They received only the best resources and grooming, undergoing various specialized training and polishing. They were ahead of Dustin in every aspect, and that disparity would only grow more apparent with time. Although Dustin was undoubtedly talented, he was slightly behind Anders. It would be tough to catch up on a gap of 10 years. I understand what you mean, but I've never considered fighting him. I just want his emerald corolla, Dustin said calmly. Your Grace, Anders sees the emerald corolla as a priceless possession. It would be challenging to take it from him. Ethan shook his head. He had sent someone to inquire about it from Anders, but only received one word in response: scram. Since asking is not an option, we can resort to stealing, Dustin said as he rubbed his chin. What? Ethan was shocked. Your Grace, are you serious? Anders' strength is beyond measure. Stealing something from him seems highly improbable. Don't worry about that. Just get someone to draw me a map of the Mosey's mansion. I'll find an opportunity to steal it, Dustin said. Your Grace, isn't it too risky? If you get caught, your identity will be exposed. When that happens, countless people will be out for your life. Ethan broke out in a cold sweat. The West Lucosian monarchy held considerable power and influence. However, for certain people, they posed a significant threat. As the Crown Prince of West Lucosia, Dustin was naturally a thorn in the eyes of these people. The chaos from 10 years ago was a clear example. It wasn't an exaggeration to claim that Dustin would be fraught with danger and constant threats of assassination once his identity was revealed. Dustin remarked casually, "We must take risks to achieve our goals. Even if my identity was exposed, I'd make sure not to implicate the Langfords. You don't need to worry. Since this is what you have decided, I can only wish you the best of luck." Ethan sighed in relief. As long as it didn't implicate the Langfords, everything else was open for discussion. Oh, by the way, you only mentioned the Emerald Corolla. What about the Iceheart Lotus? Dustin inquired. The Iceheart Lotus is in a place even more strictly guarded than the Mosey's mansion, Ethan said cryptically. According to the information I received, it should be hidden inside Elka. Elka is huge. Where in Elka exactly? Dustin questioned. It's most likely in the National Treasury, Ethan said in a lowered voice. The National Treasury. Dustin frowned slightly. That truly poses a tougher challenge than the Mosey's mansion. Your Grace, you must never enter Aelco with your status. It's dangerous there. Once you're discovered, you might be unable to make it out. Ethan warned. It looks like I'll have to seek help. Dustin narrowed his eyes. It was undoubtedly dangerous to enter Aelco before he investigated the place. After all, Aelco was not only home to that unrivaled master within the palace gates, but also to mysterious individuals with suspicious origins that not even the West Lucosian monarchy could trace. Who are you planning to seek help from, Your Grace? Ethan inquired curiously. Mr. Ethan, are you sure you want to know? If you're truly willing to step into these murky waters, I could tell you, Dustin said with an ambiguous smile. No. I'd prefer not to know anything. Ethan hastily waved his hands in fear. To outsiders, he might hold a high position with overwhelming power. However, to the truly influential figures, he was nothing more than a pitiful pawn that could be discarded easily. Mr. Ethan, your cautious approach is truly commendable. It's no wonder you are able to navigate the treacherous political scene skillfully. Dustin teased. Your Grace, please, spare me. My life is practically hanging by a thread with me being in constant danger. Ethan replied with a wry smile. If it became known that he was assisting the West Lucosian monarchy, he would either be dismissed from his position or have his home raided. But no matter the outcome, it would be a dead end for him. Navigating the court for so many years, he had offended numerous people. Once he lost power, countless people would surely seize the opportunity to take him down. Mr. Ethan, if I succeed in my goals, I'll consider it a debt owed to the Langfords. If you run into trouble in the future, I will back you up, Dustin assured. Thank you, Your Grace. Ethan's expression brightened. At least he was getting rewarded. With the support of the West Lucosian monarchy, there would still be a way out for him even if something went wrong. Mr. Ethan, regarding the map of the Mosey's mansion, it needs to be done as soon as possible. I don't have much time left, Dustin reminded. Don't worry. Your Grace, I will make sure to deliver it to you before nightfall today, Ethan promised. Oh, by the way, is Anders in Oakvale? Dustin asked another question. It'll be Sir Mosey's birthday celebration banquet in a few days. He should be back by then, Ethan replied. Very well. I need detailed information on him, including his interests, preferences, personal habits, and any special abilities he might possess. Find as much information as possible, Dustin instructed. No problem, Ethan nodded. All right, that's all for now. I'll contact you if there's anything else. Dustin raised his hand, signaling the driver to stop. He then hailed a taxi and headed back to Cameron Medicals. On the way back, Dustin dialed an unfamiliar number. After a moment, the call finally connected, and a woman's voice came through. Who are you? Logan, Dustin replied. Oh, it's you. The woman raised her voice slightly. I heard from Nestor that you were still alive, but I didn't quite believe him. I didn't expect it to be true. You actually survived your injuries. Impressive. I didn't call you to reminisce about old times. I need your help, Dustin said indifferently. My help? Let me be clear. If this is about what happened 10 years ago, I won't be of much assistance, even though your mom helped me before. It doesn't mean I'll repay you with my life, the woman said bluntly. Relax. It has nothing to do with that. I just need you to get me a medicinal herb from the National Treasury, Dustin said. Oh, which herb? The woman was curious. The Ace Heart Lotus, Dustin said. That wouldn't be a problem. Her tone then changed. Are you sure, though? I only owe your family one favor. This will be the only time I will be helping you. Do you think it's worth it to exchange my favor for a single medicinal herb? Absolutely. I need it to save a life, Dustin stated. All right, since you've made up your mind, I won't say more. I'll get someone to deliver the herb to you tomorrow. Just give me an address, the woman said. Regal Court. Just get your men to call me once they arrive. All right, that's settled then. Good luck. With that, the woman hung up. Destin put away his phone, looking deep in thought. Getting the Ice Heart Lotus should be fine with that woman's help. The biggest problem now was the Emerald Corolla. Breaking into the heavily guarded Mosey mansion to steal was risky and likely to raise suspicions. His best option was to enter openly under the pretext of congratulating Seamus on his birthday. He would then discreetly approach Anders and seize the opportunity to steal the Emerald Corolla. Since there would be many people on the day of the banquet, he would be less likely to be suspected, even if something went missing. Of course, to be safe, he had to seek assistance from someone else. Time flew by quickly, and 3 days had passed. During this time, Cameron Medicals became increasingly popular, with countless people coming to buy their ointments every day. Some had initially anticipated a spectacle, thinking that offending the Moseys would surely bring calamity. However, after 3 days, there was no movement from the Moseys, and everything remained calm and peaceful. Cameron Medicals continued to thrive and made significant profits. It was worth mentioning that Harmony Healers was rebuilt, and all that was left was to renovate and add the finishing touches. Destin only took care of the financial aspects and left the operational details to a professional team. There was nothing for him to worry about. Additionally, with the help of the person from the palace, Destin had gotten his hands on the Ice Heart Lotus without trouble. All he needed left was the Emerald Corolla, which he had already devised a plan and made necessary preparations. 3 days later, early in the morning in the inner city of Oakvale, the Moseys mansion was already adorned with festive decorations. The atmosphere was joyful and celebrative. Many high-ranking officials had come early to greet Seamus because today was his 50th birthday. As one of the 3 great princes from a different lineage, Sir Mosey, also known as Seamus Mosey, might not be as powerful as the Prince of West Lucosia, but he had a widely renowned reputation. He was granted the title of prince at age 35 and retired from the military at age 36. He was known for his generosity, fostering good relationships, establishing schools, adopting orphans, and dedicating his savings to charitable deeds. Throughout Oakvale, it didn't matter if it was a friend or foe. The mere mention of Seamus invoked the admiration of all. He was a hero serving both the country and its people, and his life fully embodied the spirit of chivalry. The only regret was that, despite having numerous siblings, he had no children of his own. He lived alone up until now. Perhaps due to this, Seamus had adopted many foster sons and daughters, most of whom were exceptionally talented. Among them, Anders stood out the most. Anders had been conferred the title of the Varos Warrior, with outstanding military achievements that echoed far and wide. He even surpassed Seamus's achievement during his prime. As time passed, more high-ranking officials and wealthy dignitaries arrived to greet Seamus on his birthday. After disguising themselves, Destin and Abigail mingled within the mansion. Destin, it's really lively here. All these guests must be pretty rich. Abigail was excited. With her disguise, she appeared more mature and average-looking. Of course, those invited to the birthday banquet are either high-ranking officials or wealthy tycoons. There's not a single ordinary person among them, Destin replied. Doesn't that mean I could extort a hefty sum if I kidnap a few of them? Abigail's gaze wandered around, seemingly searching for potential prey. The corner of Destin's eyes twitched, and he immediately warned her, Abigail, you'd better not try anything foolish. We have serious business to attend to. Heh, I was just joking. I'm a law-abiding citizen. How would I ever do such a thing? Abigail chuckled. She muttered to herself, only fools would kidnap them in public. I usually act in the dark. Abigail, the Moseys mansion is filled with elite fighters. There will also be plenty of influential figures arriving. You must be careful not to expose yourself, Destin reminded her sternly. Even though they had disguises on, there were plenty of extraordinary individuals among the Moseys. If their identities were discovered, it could lead to trouble. Abigail, especially, was the Mystic Arts Order's grand sorceress. In the eyes of the court and righteous individuals, she was a condemned witch that they would gladly eliminate. So they must be cautious. Don't worry, Dustin. I'm not a kid. I know what to do, relax. I won't put you in trouble. Abigail scanned the area rapidly, almost drooling at the sight of the wealthy individuals. Relax, you must be joking. Dustin was frustrated and knocked on Abigail's head with his knuckles. He shouldn't have brought her here. This little money enthusiast seemed to see everyone as a walking money tree. Dustin, look. It's so lively over there. Suddenly, Abigail noticed something and pointed at the entrance. Dustin followed her gaze and saw a fully armed, elite guard team entering grandly. Leading the group was a man in his early 30s. He had sharp eyebrows and a stern face, giving off a fierce, domineering presence. He looked especially majestic and heroic in his gold-trimmed general's uniform. Wherever he went, the crowd automatically made way and greeted him with respect. Who's that? How dare he lead soldiers into the mansion? He's got nerves of steel. Are you new to Oakvale? Don't you even recognize the famous Veros warrior? What? That's the Veros warrior. No wonder he looks so imposing. The crowd whispered among themselves, unable to take their eyes off him. While many people had heard of Anders Mosey, few had actually seen him. Most of the time, he was stationed in the eastern frontier, only returning to Oakvale to visit his adoptive father on special occasions. Since it was Seamus's birthday celebration today, naturally, he would be present. I'm going to change. Bring the gift I prepared for father into the hall, Anders instructed as he entered the gates. His guards immediately lifted a cage into the guest lounge. The cage was covered with a black cloth, so they couldn't see what was inside. But Dustin caught the faint smell of a wild beast. Dustin, it seems like there's a wild beast in the cage, Abigail noticed as well. Gifting a beast instead of gold and jewels on his father's birthday. Interesting, Dustin chuckled, carefully observing Anders. He had indeed changed drastically compared to 10 years ago. Without prior knowledge of his identity, recognizing him would be a challenge. Dustin, is he our target? Abigail sized him up. That's right. Get your team ready. The Emerald Corolla is on him. But don't take it by force. We have to resort to stealth, Dustin whispered. No problem. Abigail took out her phone and sent a message discreetly. Anders suddenly turned around at that moment as if he had sensed something. His sharp gaze locked onto Dustin and Abigail. Dustin was surprised at his heightened senses but maintained his composure. He behaved like an ordinary guest, saluting immediately. Instead of leaving, Anders headed straight for Dustin and Abigail. He asked coldly, "What are your names?" As he spoke, his personal guards had already surrounded Dustin and Abigail. Their gazes were menacing. "Greetings, Sir Anders." Dustin lowered his head and replied, "My name is Rhett Adams, and this is my sister, Abigail Adams. You look familiar. Have we met before?" Anders questioned. His gaze was as sharp as a knife as he scrutinized Dustin from top to bottom as if trying to see through him.